All right, so welcome once again. My name is Jason Jani. It's good to have you here, and I am so pumped because we're talking about a topic that really hits home to us at the SCE event group, and that is scratching during private events. And this right here is going to be like one of those controversial topics that a lot of DJs either agree with or passionately disagree with. And we just want to share with you a little bit of insight, perspective, and advice from our side of kind of this event world at the SCE event group. And I'm here with my homie right here, Jason Cohen, aka DJ Demand, who believes good DJing is important, and he's new here to the YouTube universe, so that's why he's a little bit nervous, but we're gonna work it out. And today we're gonna talk a little bit about scratching at private events, scratching at weddings. Before I get into this whole back and forth of why I think or why we think you shouldn't be doing this and how you should do it and how it works and all that, let me tell you a little bit about my good friend Jason Cohen. So first and foremost, he's part of my SCE event group family, and if you are interested in private events or any type of insights of the events that we do at SCE, which I'm super grateful for when we get to actually work, I invite you to check us out at the SCE event group channel. But Jason is one of our event hosts. He's one of the members of our tribe, and he's someone I have a ton of admiration and respect for. On the DL and outside of the YouTube universe, I actually call him the alien, and I refer to him as an alien because he's one of, if not the most technically advanced DJs in our tribe at SCE. He's someone that's like an absolute freak of nature, ninja in the turntablism kind of universe. He's ridiculously sharp and super technical and just a pleasure to watch. And I'm so grateful to have him on board our family. I don't even know if I ever said this to you out loud, but anyway, I'm super glad that he's part of our tribe because he's just an awesome DJ that's done a ton of different stuff. He's been a key member of the Rutgers kind of nightlife scene for quite some time, and he's been able to be part of a lot of events. He's been a DJ that's been in the game and working in the game for a long time, and he's come on over to the SCE family just a couple of years ago and has been absolutely crushing it. And I'm just pumped to share him with you guys. If you don't know who he is, you can find him on Instagram at DJ Demand, and we're going to include all of his social information in the description field below. So the reason why I have him here is because he is the tightest, fastest, sharpest scratcher that I know, and he's actually a member of like my family at SCE. And we got on this conversation about should DJs scratch at weddings, and everyone's got different feelings and different opinions on this, but I'm gonna just stop and spoiler alert and say we believe that you should scratch at weddings and private events. And there is some context that we have to lay around the foundation, but let's kind of start at the top and start with the question. Should you scratch at weddings? Should you scratch at private events? Should you scratch at mobile parties? What do you think?
I wouldn't be here if I didn't think that the answer is yes. There is definitely a place for scratching at private events. I will say you have to do it in a very tasteful manner. I scratch three different kind of ways. You know, I scratch one way when I'm performing in front of DJs or on Twitch where there's no dancing going on. Another way at a nightclub, you can get away with, you know, a little bit more scratching, but not as much as like when you're just playing for the DJs. And then the third way is at private events. You have to tone it down a little bit. I can't sit here and do beat juggling and under the back, behind the back tricks and all that type of stuff.
No AM routines at a private event. Okay.
No, but there are definitely some very big positives if you can incorporate scratching in at private events.
So I would agree with you 100%. I think there's a big difference between corporate event life, Sweet 16 event life, wedding event life, holiday party event life, and all the different types of kind of private or social events that we as DJs get to be part of. I also think that there's another kind of level to this when you're playing at a nightclub or a bar or some type of environment that is not a private event. And I think there's even another level to this when you're performing in front of people that are carefully staring at everything that you're doing, or if you're playing in front of other DJs. I think there's another whole universe to this. Now, I will say that scratching is one of those things that takes a very long time to do and to learn. And I never want to say master because I feel like it's kind of like the type of it's a type of approach or technique that you might master a scratch, but there's so many different variations and ways that you can interchange them and use them in different ways where it's kind of like always a learning process, even if you're someone that's been doing this for a long time. I know DJs that have worked their entire life and been super successful and not done any scratching whatsoever. So I think the new way of kind of doing things is a little bit different. And I think, especially after what we've gone through over the past year and people watching some of these iconic DJs on platforms like Twitch and on these live stream style event environments, virtual event environments, it's become more, I guess, acceptable. Also, it's become a lot more present in a lot of people's shows. So today we want to talk about 5 or 6 reasons that support why we feel the way we do at SCE Event Group, and that is if you understand how to do it, how you can do it to benefit your events. And then I'm pumped to share with you guys right up front that we're going to be following up this video with a whole series of kind of basic introduction and advanced videos to help teach and mentor you, help to coach you on scratching, usable scratches that can take your shows to a next level, and that's scratch ins and scratch outs. But I think I want to get this entire conversation started talking about how to scratch or knowing when to scratch. And I think I want to start it off by saying that it is a technique that takes a lot of time and energy to master or at least become proficient enough at where you can use it, where it will actually benefit your overall performances. And I think that there's a time and a place to use these techniques like scratching to assist you in creating an atmosphere, creating a vibe, or to enhance your overall visual performance, whether it's virtual or in person. I think there's a time and a place knowing when to turn it up and when to turn it down. And I think by doing this, it allows you as a DJ to really show off your skills. And I think just being someone that has played in front of a lot of other people, a lot of other DJs, and a lot of other things, it's not a necessary requirement for everybody. But if you understand how to do it and you can apply it to your events, I think it enhances your visual kind of vibe, but also your visual performance and like the impression that you can leave on people when you're at an event or at a show or playing in front of people, whether they're virtual or in person. So I think there's a time and a place, and understanding when to use these techniques is probably one of the foundational principles that I think we have to kind of start off this conversation with.
So point number 2 is that I really do believe that scratching sets you apart from other DJs. Everybody's got their tricks. Everybody's got their microphone skills or things that they say or their blending techniques. But if you can scratch, that's one thing that maybe the next DJ can't do that really sets you apart. And nobody says you have to be doing these crazy tricks. I mean, the whole point of this series, the techniques that I'm going to show you are going to be things that you can really learn fairly easily, and don't go above what you know. I mean, you really have to feel comfortable. You're at a wedding. You have to feel comfortable with everything that you're doing, the music that you're playing and the way that you're playing it. So if you practice these techniques over and over again, you can just add a little bit more flair, and that's something that the next person might not have.
I would 100% get behind that because I feel that scratching is something that definitely can differentiate you from someone else. I think that's kind of like a no-brainer, right? If you scratch or you know how to scratch, that can help you or hurt you depending on how you do it and how proficient you are and what your abilities are. But I would go on record saying that you don't have to know a million different kind of like routines or scratch techniques. Like I would say that I'm a DJ that's been around a little while. I've been able to do events all over this planet, and I really only know like 3 or 4 scratches, and that's all that I do at my events. Some of the more advanced and really super technical techniques and kind of like routine style things I don't even do. And I think the point is like just be comfortable and introduce things slowly, and they can help you get creative, and it can really differentiate you from someone else. That's kind of the point. So the third reason of why I think scratching kind of matters in the social event world is that I think scratching gives you not only the ability to differentiate yourself from someone else that maybe doesn't take the time, to learn these kind of like techniques or practices, or just to have these tools in their overall toolbox, I think scratching is just another way that you as a DJ can keep your performances, can keep your shows, can keep your sets, no matter what type of event you're doing, fresh. Of course, when it's appropriate, it allows you to get creative. And I believe that we as DJs love to be creative. And I believe that if you can take some of these basic or elementary or even advanced techniques and incorporate them into your overall shows, it allows you to freshen up your shows, and it will make your shows always a little bit different. The more you know, it's not that you're going to use everything at all times. It's just giving you the toolbox and the tools in your toolbox to kind of keep things different and fresh and to be ever evolving.
So building off of that, I think what you're saying is absolutely correct. We have to keep our sets fresh, make it different. So, I mean, I know that I'm guilty of this, and a lot of DJs are. You're playing a song's about to end, you start the next one, you do a little echo out. Very easy just to do that echo out, or maybe a loop and then slowly bring down the volume or something. It's like one of our most probably commonly overly used tools on our mixers and our equipment. So what we're talking about here is, instead of doing that echo out this time, maybe you do a little tear or a little scratch out or something like that. And I'll teach you how to do that in a very simple way. And it'll just make it sound different. So you can play one night, you could play the same two songs back to back, do an echo out. The next night, you do a different scratch. The next night, you can do a backspin or something like that, just something completely different. But the idea is that there's so many different ways of mixing songs together. Why trap yourself into doing the same technique over and over again?
Okay, leads us to number 5, and I think this is all about the reality of culture today. I think the past year plus, given the circumstances around the pandemic, has turned people on to really constructively watching people play music, and really allowed people to understand what a DJ is doing. People go to clubs and they stare at the DJ to see what they're doing in the DJ booth. And this is something that's gone on for a long time. Now, the pandemic has made Twitch and live streams part of kind of like common culture for everyone. I mean, there was a time where people weren't allowed out of their house and they were going to Facebook or Instagram or Twitch and watching DJs that they look up to play music. So the point of this is culture for people is changing. And I think this is another tool that I think the younger generation of couples and the people that are planning events, not just today, but in the years to come, are gonna kind of expect this, because they're going out to clubs, they're going out to bars, they're seeing their DJs, their favorite DJs on Twitch platforms or streaming platforms, virtual event style stuff, and they're seeing people actually juggle and actually scratch, and they're seeing things happen. So they're coming to a point where they're almost expecting how to do it. Now, this is not the case everywhere, and I think regionally this conversation might be very different, because if you're in the middle of the Midwest, it might be very different than if you're from New York City, where the nightlife vibes might be a little bit different. The point I'm trying to make is these techniques and this kind of way of playing an event, or way of playing music, or way of DJing in general, is becoming a lot more accepted than it ever has, as a result of the nightlife industry, its influence on private events, and of course, streaming as a whole.
Well, I think that we advertise ourselves as a company as a good blend of nightlife DJ and wedding DJ. I mean, we always say we're not your stereotypical wedding DJ. We all go out there, we do clubs and things like that. So some couples see us at a nightclub, and that's why they're hiring us. Other couples will do their research. They'll look us up online, look at our Instagram, and they see pictures of us in a nightclub. They want somewhat of a nightclub DJ at their party. They're not expecting the crazy, over the top stuff. But to be able to hear that wicked scratch sound every once in a while, I think it really makes them feel like that's what they want. That's what they're looking for.
If you really think about it, it doesn't have to be in the middle of a wedding reception. These techniques could be something that you enhance your show with at a after party, or maybe if you're doing a Sweet 16 or a teen event or a prom. I mean, that's the magic with this stuff. You don't have to use it all the time, but understanding how you can use it and applying it to your actual performances can take your performance to a whole new level.
All right, I have one more point that I really want to make here.
So this would be, what, 0.5? This is 0.5. Okay.
5, so I don't even know what we're up to now. It's all kind of meshing together, but that's for a good reason, obviously. We feel very strongly about this. But one of the big points that I really want to make is we talk all the time about our sets and our performances and the fact that we are musicians. We call ourselves musicians. Use this as a musical instrument. It should not just be your Spotify player, your Apple iTunes, whatever it is. This, you can use it as a musical instrument. You can manipulate the song that's playing and speed it up and slow it down and move the record back and forth to make different sounds. And that's when you really become a musician and not just a disc jockey.
And I have to say, it doesn't matter if you're using Rain 12s or Pioneer CDJs or an SRT 1000 controller, or an SZ, an SX, an SR, the model number, the brand, it doesn't matter. Pioneer, Techniques, Denon, whatever. It doesn't matter if you're using Virtual DJ, Serato DJ, or the DJ app powered on an iPad tied into a controller. These are things that you can actually apply no matter who you are, where you are, as long as you understand kind of like where your limitations are and when to apply this stuff. I think you, if you understand it, can take your shows to a whole new level. Everyone is a little bit different, and no matter who you are, where you are, just having this kind of foundational kind of technique in your kind of array of tricks or in your toolbox can help take your shows to a whole new level. And that's why we're here recording this video. And I'm pumped to again share with you that in the weeks and the months ahead, we are going to release a handful of videos to help you kind of learn some basics and learn how you can apply scratching and basic as well as kind of intermediate as well as advanced techniques, getting into songs and getting out of songs into kind of like your show. So if you are not supporting this channel with a subscription, I would love to take this opportunity for you to jump on board, support the hustle here on this channel. And I want to make sure that you check Demand out on Instagram and support all his stuff. We're going to include all of his socials in the description field down below. And if there's anything that you want to learn regarding scratching, applying these techniques, or you disagree with anything that we're saying, I'd love to engage with you in the comments field below. So have at it. We're both going to be interacting with people on the channel here. And that's it. It's time to go to school. So be on the lookout for more dope videos all about scratching and applying scratching techniques and kind of principles to private events coming out right here on this channel. On behalf of myself and DJ Demand, who believes good DJing is important, thank you for checking out this video. Be on the lookout for more content dripping right here very, very soon.
Thanks again, guys. Can't wait to get to work.
Peace.